After doing videos ranking all the regular stars and Comet medals within Super Mario Galaxy 2, there was a fair bit of interest shown in the comments for me to rank all the green stars as well. I initially excluded them from my star ranking because I didn't think they'd provide as much for me to talk about, and would somewhat break the pace of that video, but making a separate video dedicated to them seems doable. If I could manage a halfway decent video about the Comet medals, these shouldn't be too much harder to talk about. My previous stance on the green stars before I replayed them all, which was still my current opinion as of this paragraph being typed out, is that they could individually be pretty fun to seek out, but suffered from a severe feeling of bloat, since every galaxy was required to have an identical number of green stars as the base missions. Some galaxies weren't too harmed by that. Frankly, they could have gotten away with including more. Others were blatantly not built to have any hiding spots, so they were doomed from the get-go. The amount of them made the collective package suffer, because you got booted out of the level every single time you collected one, and had to go back into the galaxy for the next. For something you have to do 120 times, that dead air adds up. The same could be said for the regular stars, but I didn't mind that too much as a little breather between levels as a substitute for loading screens. With the green stars it becomes a lot more bothersome since you're replaying content you've already gone through, albeit with a different approach, and you almost always end the level at an earlier point, so there's less time spent actually playing the game. It adds up to make the star count feel far more padded than it should. That was what I thought before, but I've since finished this script. So, how do I feel about them now? Man, there's just too fucking many of them. My previous take still mostly holds up. Having totaled everything out, there are more green stars that I like than dislike, but I'd still call them a net negative to the game since they multiply the amount of content I don't enjoy by like 10, with there being very few exceptional ones to balance things out. To put it in ways that are easier to visualize, I've put a comparison in the tier distributions between both star rankings on screen. That should give you an idea of how much weaker these are on average. They really do bloat the game more than was needed, and so many of them feel like wastes of time. Like, at least let me skip the opening cutscene rather than forcing me to sit through it for every new star. Or if I have to watch them, maybe don't spoil where some of the stars are. If I know their location in advance and don't have to search for them, then what's even the point? As for how I'll be ranking them, much like with the Comet medals, it'll be down to how well hidden they are, and whether they do anything fun with what you need to do to collect them. Given that grabbing these automatically ends the level, I'll be giving bonus points to any that take advantage of that fact. There's also the added criteria of how pointless they feel. Are they so early in the level that it's over immediately, or are they so needlessly late that I feel like I've wasted my time replaying content? With that little ramble over, let's start the list. Before I replayed these all, I didn't have a clue where a single one of them was gonna rank, with 3 exceptions. The loser's podium at the bottom could not have been more clear. Battle Belt Galaxy was not built to leave any room for exploration and only included their Comet medal out of obligation. Trying to cram in 3 additional green stars was a recipe for disaster. All of these planetoids are so small, open, and devoid of hiding spots that not only are they all out in plain view, some of them are even in the mission overview. If they're not hidden, and you don't have to do anything other than replay the regular mission again, then what is the point? Mini Planet Mega Run was one of the few stars in the game that I already didn't care for, which they mandated I go through an additional time and a half for the other missions in the galaxy. So what possessed them to add 3 more replays on top of that? Oh, don't worry though, there is one part of the level that you can skip all 3 times. And it's the only good one, what the hell? You're just trudging through the same boring, basic enemy gauntlet 3 extra times, with the only sliver of joy being that you at least get to end it early. But it still totals up to 2 full replays without the moderately interesting ending. I counted up to check, and out of the 10 total segments, you have to fully redo 4, then 7, then 9. So my guess was right on the money. All 3 of these green stars are pretty much equally worthless, and will be ranked based on how much time they force me to waste replaying this monotonous slog of a level. So from worst to least bad, we have Battle Belt 3, Battle Belt 2, and Battle Belt 1. I don't know what he did in a past life to end up in this hellscape, but free my man Fiery Gobblegut. This is cruel and unusual punishment. I was hoping those would be the only F tiers, but then Yoshi Star 1 had to rear its ugly head. That's the shorthand I'll be using to identify these, by the way. It'll stop you from having to hear the words Galaxy and Green Star another 120 times. Imagine having so few ideas that you have to reuse the hiding spot you already used for the Comet medal. If it was a good spot to begin with, then that would be one thing. There are others that do a similar thing. But if you've seen my ranking of the Comet medals, you might remember that Yoshi Stars wasn't hidden at all, and only got somewhat of a pass in its role as a reminder in case you missed the one in Sky Station. As a completely recycled idea that no longer serves as a tutorial since you can approach these in any order, and if you go chronologically there are 3 in Sky Station before this, there is nothing to be gained from this green star. You don't have to look for it, Yoshi isn't made use of at all. It's one of the worst examples of padding this game has. At least it's over quickly and didn't waste a collective 9 minutes of my life, so it places above the Battle Belt trio. Okay, F tiers are over, but we've got a stacked D tier to get through, so things aren't looking up for us quite yet. 116 Twisty Trials 1. Both stars are visible in the overview, so what's even the point? I can sympathise with the lack of concealed areas to hide a green star, but at least make up for it on a gameplay front. You get the Cloud Flower and can go to this one basically right away. I didn't even realise that I wrote "what is the point" twice in the span of 3 sentences. I guess I just thought the point really needed to be hammered home. 115 Clockwork Ruins 1. For as much as I don't like the spinning platform section, this at least doesn't force an overlong and monotonous grind. You can get in and grab it pretty quickly. It doesn't take up too much of your time, but it also isn't fun to seek out because it's not hidden. And I just have beef with this section of the level, so I don't care much to revisit it in any capacity. At least the terrible grinds for coins in the other missions made me feel some semblance of joy when they were finally over. 114 Rolling Masterpiece 1. Out in the open, and the only possible way for it to become even a little bit difficult is from any awkwardness in the motion controls. It makes any failure more frustrating than incentivizing me to keep going. 113 Sweet Mystery 1. A decent idea to have it beneath the platforms, so you have to fully commit to a position and drop down on top of it once the ball berry expires. Problem being how near to the last berry the star is. It turns this into a waiting game and makes it more boring than anything else. The star is super close to the floor too, so it's not like I needed a ton of time to get the position right. 112 Boss Blitz 1. Was this an attempt to have the star blend with the green of the tree? Either way, I can't say that it works. Major Burrows Arena is just too barren for this to be a good spot. Even if you somehow don't see it as you land, the boss fight will have you on the move so you won't have the chance to miss it. Even though I like Dino Piranha and King Caliente, refighting them to get to the star that the opening already spoiled me on the location for is just going through the motions at this point. 111 Fleet Glide 2. I've warmed up to Fluzzard a lot over the years. I used to not like him at all, now I find one of his galaxies to be relaxing and enjoyable, while the other has a super exciting setting to help me get really into it. My previous disdain hasn't fully vanished though. It's gone to the associated green stars instead. It's a lot harder to make these kinds of collectibles work for what's basically an auto-scroller when missing the star, something that's really easy to do given that this is a motion control level, means having to redo it all from the start. I liked the Comet medal gates because they added more to the level and made the whole journey more engaging. Getting the green stars is just autopiloting through it, which you can't control the pace of like you normally would. Sad part is, I think this one has a good hiding spot behind the pillar. It's genuinely pretty clever and made me keep an eye out. Unfortunately, those pillars hitting the ground shook my screen and made me miss it the first time. So on top of the previously mentioned issues, I am full of spite and hatred. 110 Wild Glide 1. See my previous rant for the Fluzzard green stars. This small crevice isn't even a bad spot. It's just really tedious to redo if you miss it, regardless if you hit the wall or have to drown yourself in shame. 109 Spin Dig 3. Initially hit it this low because I thought it forced you to take damage from an enemy that doesn't respawn. Here's the previous draft of the script for reference. As I found out once I downloaded footage, you can wall jump while holding the spin drill. I'm just fucking stupid, which has made me have to re-record the segment during editing. Does this change anything? Not really. It's still in the middle of a linear segment, on display for everyone to see. Boring placement, not that fun to get. This spot still seems appropriate. 108, beat block 2. Thought this would involve needing to space out a triple jump, utilizing the platforms as they appear and disappear. No, just backflip from the corner one level up and you get it really easily. Seymour the star is boring. 107, Haunty Halls 2. This one looked so sick from the opening cutscene. Oh, am I gonna have to precisely space out a triple jump in time when I set off so that I can use the narrow moving walkway? Nope, I held forward as I landed, triple jumped, and got it without even needing to try. What a waste. 106, Slipsand 3. Look, I adore the Slipsand slide, but why did they need to put 2 green stars on it? The first one was actually good. This one feels rehashy and less well designed. You either happen to be in the right place at the right time, or you fly right past it when you couldn't have seen it coming. Could this not have gone on the bitch-ass bird that I love? That would have been something different at least. 105, Wild Glide 2. Taking a break from ranting about the Fluzzard green stars to rant about me being a fucking idiot. See, when you speak to the Jabberjay and he asks you if you want to learn how to fly with Fluzzard, I thought that selecting no meant that you wouldn't get on Fluzzard at all unless you spoke to him again, and that the only option to progress was to say yes and sit through the tutorials. I have been under the impression that these were mandatory to do every single time you replayed the level. This has nothing to do with this green star in particular. I just felt the need to specify that the spite and hatred I feel this time is directed inward. The green star is another Fluzzard one, what can I say? Solid enough spot to put it, I just don't enjoy seeking them out with the less precise controls of the bird. I weirdly found this one easier than the first, despite having a much more wide open area to potentially miss it for. 104, Cloudy Court 3. Literally just makes you replay the whole level without any changes except for the very end where you go around the windmill. This new bit isn't even a little difficult, and for as much as I adore Head in the Clouds, making me redo it is lame and pointless. There's another one like this coming up next, but at least that one didn't ignore a solid hiding spot that was handed to the devs on a silver platter with its lower platform area. 103, Cosmic Cove 1. Oh, this one annoys me so much. I had it in C tier out of pure copium, because surely replaying one of my favorite stars in the game can't be bad, right? Dude, this star is so lazy. It's right next to the regular star, so it is shamelessly reusing what I can't even call a hiding place. And maybe I could give it somewhat of a pass for letting me slow down, check out every part of the level, and soak in the atmosphere for longer than I got to before, if the opening didn't fucking spoil where it was. So there's nothing to discover and no reason to not just bolt for it immediately, completely going against what made me love the mission in the first place. It's like the opposite of what the Comet medal did. I really tried to deny it for weeks after taking my notes, but if I put Cloudy Court's finale this low, then I kind of have to do the same for a level I adore to the same extent, since this one misses the appeal of the original star even more. I do still rank it slightly higher since they didn't squander a really cool area to hide the star in, but they really let me down regardless. My goats are washed. 102, Upside Dizzy 2. Technically more involved than the first green star in the galaxy. Still not very interesting and so close to where you just got the previous one. You can either spend ages waiting for the platform or wall jump from the question block. Neither is especially interesting. The Comet medal was similarly poorly hidden, but at least the hazards around it made for a tight squeeze to reach it so that I could get some level of enjoyment. 101, Cosmic Cove 3. Redo the whole cavern again except knowing which parts you can speed through. The long jump at the end isn't bad in a vacuum. I had a kinda funny experience where I fell and almost collected the previous star again when falling into the void, but having to do this again just feels like a waste of time. 100, Fleet Glide 1. The best Fluzzard green star because it's the shortest. This is actually a kinda fun concept to have it be so close to the starting line that you have to nosedive right off the rip. It's not a perfect concept though, because there is literally 1 second of gameplay between the race starting and the star being collected. Many of these green stars have the issue where the loading screens match the total time spent playing. This might be the only one where the ratio of cutscenes to gameplay is heavily slanted in the former's favour. 99 Flip Out 1. Conceptually a cool way to change your approach to the tutorial section. Sadly, the star is so obvious that there is no joy in finding it. By this point, the throw yourself into the abyss but not quite format has run its course. 98 Upside Dizzy 1. A lesser version of a concept that was used more interestingly in Flipsville. Not a terrible use of this galaxy's gimmick, not particularly interesting either. 97 Starshine Beach 2. For a lot of these Yoshi stars, I like to try my hardest to keep him so he can be in the cutscene, even when it's not practical. This is the one case where I got bored with it and just gave up. I can't infinite flutter and I have no intention of learning. This star's out in the open. Just run up and ditch the dinosaur, it's hardly anything. 96 Boss Blitz 2. God, it's a miracle that the Comet medal for this galaxy was somehow good. Off the Edge and Bouldergeist Arena is next in line for being a passable hiding place, I guess, but it is visible in advance, and the glow sticks out in the darker area. Dino Piranha and King Caliente felt even more this time like I was going through the motions. And while I really like Major Burrows, he's not exactly the star player that's gonna save the day. So sad that the only two bosses you're not required to fight for the green stars are the better ones, because they're both before you get to Fiery Dino Piranha, and Bouldergeist, as much as I love him, is not gonna stop you from getting this star. I still fought him anyway, just to feel something. 95 Flash Black 1. You couldn't conceal the green star in an area like this, so they didn't even try. You will see this regardless of which path you take, it's unavoidable. The only saving grace was trying to keep Yoshi with me, since it meant I had to be somewhat strategic about how I got there with the blimp fruit before it could time out. 94 Flip Out 2. You're just redoing the whole level with a slightly different ending. It's a neat idea, but it's kind of a weak note for the very last of these. The cosmic clones being used was both a blessing and a curse. It's good that they worked one of these into the Prankster Comet star. Off the top of my head, I think this might be the only one that does that. But considering I didn't remember where this one was before, I kinda wanted to be able to look around at my own pace, which these wouldn't let me do. Maybe not necessarily bad, but I didn't have a good time with this one. 93 Yoshi Star 2. Plainly visible on approach, not too tough to get. I did redo it as just Mario to see if I could make it without Yoshi's flutter jump. Turns out you can, and it's a fun little self-imposed challenge. But this star was just kinda boring. Very short, not hidden, could have easily done without it. Okay, so that's a lot that I feel negatively towards, but now we're on to the even more stacked C tier. Finally, sweet, sweet mediocrity. Gonna try and get through these ones quick, because most of them don't make me feel much of anything. 92 Rolling Coaster 2. Okay, so here's one I'm really conflicted on. This is a fittingly difficult star to grab. Rolling Coaster Galaxy wants to tilt you, which it did for me in this case. There came a point where I ate shit so many times in a row that I had to get up and go do something else for a minute to clear my head, making it so much more satisfying when I finally got it. It made me feel what it wanted me to feel. The problem comes from the tedium of constantly retrying it. I'm generally not a huge fan of the game design philosophy that has you redoing a large chunk of a level you've already beaten just to get another attempt at the 10-second part that's giving you bother. This wasn't an issue for the purple coin star because in that case the whole level was the challenge and I was consistently engaged with it. With this green star, I was autopiloting my way through everything for 90% of my playtime until I could get to the part that I needed to focus on. I would only fumble on anything else when I would get frustrated to an extent that threw me off, and made me play worse on parts that I'd been clearing with ease for the last 20 minutes. It led to the experience being every bit as dull as it was enraging. It's a difficult one to talk about because I can acknowledge that it succeeds in its goals while also not especially enjoying it. Bottom of C tier seems fair for my feelings balancing out, but if you put it on either end of the list then I totally get it. 91 Twisty Trials 2. Better than the first one since it's later in the level and forces you to maintain at least one of your cloud platforms. This makes spinning to course correct a little riskier, which is kinda cool. It ultimately means nothing to me because I did the level cloudless already when I went through it normally. 90 Honey Hop 2. They're lucky the main part of this level is so fun to traverse and explore the different paths, because the process of finding where to go is as simple as not covering your eyes in the opening cutscene. You couldn't even put it behind her head, it had to be out in the open. Was that a crucial part of the vision? 89 Cloudy Court 1. Very basic and barely 5 seconds into the level, so there's not a whole lot of gameplay. But it draws attention to this cute dinosaur hedge, and that's kinda nice. 88 Fearsome Fleet 2. It's on the same ship as the Comet medal, and I like it about the same. Which is to say, not very much. The slimmer path makes it potentially more dangerous, and it is a little more out of plain sight when you get closer. It's still hurt in a way that I forgot to mention for the medal, in that it's just kind of floating there the whole time rather than moving in with the ship. There's also no urgency anymore since you don't have to make it back in time to catch the moving platform. I now know from my Comet medal comment section that there was technically never any urgency to begin with, since more platforms keep coming if you miss the one you arrived on, but as far as I'm concerned, missing the first one's a loss in spirit. Funny FNAF number, Puzzle Plank 3. A cool concept to have it be under the dropping platform. I would definitely like it more if it was paced quicker. As is, it's pretty slow, which means you're waiting around for a while without doing much. They give you more time to prepare than is really necessary. 86 Beat Block 1. The triple jump around the corner is potentially dangerous, but it's nothing mind-blowing. Other stars use this concept way more interestingly. 85 Boulder Bowl 3. I just wrote Gideon Journal 3 scene in my notes, because the best part is realizing you've skipped right past 2, which is hidden pretty well. This one, not so much. It's like a worse version of a similar concept in Sky Station. It's basic and unmemorable, but at least has some level of risk if you miss it. 84 Tall Trunk 2. I guess it's possible to not go to this part of the trunk maze, so it's not a terrible spot, but once you do go past, it's incredibly obvious. I don't like that it made me ditch Yoshi to get it, that made me feel bad. Not bad enough to learn how to do the infinite flutter consistently though. 83 Right Side Down 1. A neat utilization of the change from 2D to 3D movement and having you swap back between them. Can be a bit finicky to get it to work how you want it to, but not bad at all. Not difficult to find either, especially since the course overview tells you ahead of time so you can just bolt through the level without needing to look for anything. 82 Sky Station 1. Does the job as an introduction if you do these in level order. That job description does not mention it needing to be particularly interesting. This is super simple and short. The hiding spot works though. I do like that you can choose whether to approach it normally from below, or parkour up the building to drop down from above. 81 Puzzle Plank 2. Same concept as the Comet medal that it's next to, so it comes with similar strengths and weaknesses. I'd say this is better though, since the spacing required for the triple jump into the wall jump is more exciting to pull off than a basic spin jump on a slowly falling platform. 80 Fluffy Bluff 3. Another one that makes you replay the whole level with a slightly different ending. This doesn't feel quite as lazy though. The hiding spot is kinda decent since it's more out of the way than what Cosmic Cove or Cloudy Court did with theirs, even if those base levels were stronger. I spotted it right away, but the green of the trees is pretty decent at letting the star blend in. I somehow accidentally speedran the level and got this one first. Whoops. 79 Hightail Falls 3. Tragically doesn't keep the momentum of the others going, which we won't be seeing for a while. It's like they had two great spots they planned in advance, and then had to shoehorn in a third. This doesn't make use of the dash pepper, or have a location that hides it all too well. It also forces me to ditch Yoshi again, and that sucks. But like, it's still sorta fun to go for. I like using the flower grapple things, and the jump is kinda satisfying. 78 Flipsville 2. Plainly obvious that it's on the roof, but it did at least make me think about how to approach my wall jumps to get there, since it's not normally a place you'd have any reason to try and get to. 77 Gravity Gauntlet 2. I vividly remember when I first did these back in 2020 needing to look up a guide for this one. Fucking how? It's right there, man, open your eyes. is. Positioning the jump is a little tricky, besides that it's nothing to write home about. 76 Gravity Gauntlet 1. A sort of neat hiding spot which makes decent use of a background decoration. It's not obvious, or anything special, or anything I have more to say about. 75 Boo Moon 3. As much as I adore this level and its ending, if they're gonna mandate that I replay the whole thing, then I expect either a better hiding spot or a more exciting way to get the star. It's fine enough, I guess. The boos that you can't kill still act as great hazards, and the pop-up house is as great as ever. 74 Boo Moon 1. How much praise can I give to just putting a second hidden star in the same spot? It's still a fun section, with less time provided to spot and go for the star, so it is expanding on the idea in some capacity, but it's doing so while retreading a lot of already covered ground. 73 Space Storm 3. Cool use of the bubble cannons with not much more to say. It's very easy to see in advance, so it's just a matter of making sure you pick the right one. If you don't the first time, you'll know exactly what to do on the second, so there's not a whole lot to figure out. 72 Honey Bloom 2. I ended up missing this the first time I explored the level. I should have known not to keep going when I could hear the sound effect. The hiding spot is good and it's fun to go for, but it sparked no strong feelings in me. I wish I had more concrete reasoning for putting it this low, but sometimes there's not much more to it than a feeling. 71 Cloudy Court 2. A cute use of the cloud suit, and a fun jump to make from the symbol platform. Doesn't inspire any stronger emotion in me than that. 70 Freezy Flake 1. A fun idea to hide it in the lesser of the game's 3 slides, but it's on the opposite end from where you'll be and doesn't give a whole lot of time to react. If you miss it and have to go for a later one instead, it's at least not too tedious to go back for it now that you know where it is. 69 Chompworks 3. Uses the spring mushroom set piece decently well for a star that isn't particularly hard to find or get to. Don't know if it's possible to do without the power up like the base level is. I did not have the patience to try this time. 68 Slipsand 1. Makes you pay attention to where you need to drop off to collect this down the sand stream. Nothing else about it stands out. 67 Cosmic Cove 2. A fun use of the 2D water section, but it's not satisfying to find since it's out in the open, and the previous sections aren't that explorable. The drop is pretty far down, so you've got plenty of room to course correct if you mess up. 66 Starshine Beach 1. Not elaborate, but it's fun to try and keep Yoshi as you get this one instead of abandoning him. 65 Space Storm 2. Might be shown in plain view both in the course overview and when you land at the station, but it's at least kinda fun to get up to. You can take the normal route and walk down the barrier from the top, or you can make it a lot more interesting by skipping all that and jumping up to it from below. It's a decently enjoyable climb to make. Okay, C tiers are over now. We are almost halfway into the list, good grief. B tiers, please save me. Give me something to be a bit more passionate about. 64 and 63, Mario Squared 2 in 1. These two are basically the same concept. They're hidden under one of the disappearing platforms that you have to scout out and drop to your death. It's about all they could do to make searching in this tiny galaxy interesting, which I have to commend them for. So I end up liking them about equally, but also a bit less than if there was just one of them. Doing essentially the same thing twice doesn't feel rewarding, especially since the star grab animation shows you where you have to go look for the other one. If I had to pick which I preferred, I'll say that 1 is better than 2 since it shows the other for slightly less time. 62 Freezy Flake 2. Hidden decently well. The lava makes it so you have to aim properly or you'll die horrifically. 61 Space Storm 1. Good use of the pull stars, if inferior to one we'll see much later on. I like how the launch star can make it trickier to aim by pulling you in. 60 Clockwork Ruins 3. Another cool way to repurpose the big rocks, though I think it would have been way better if it was at the bottom of one of these massive gaps. 59 Clockwork Ruins 2. By virtue of putting them all in the one good level, Clockwork Ruins has managed to have a better run of green stars than normal missions. That is sad, but also kinda funny. I really like how this one encourages you to cheese the level in a way you might not have thought of before once the gravity's flipped. I certainly didn't before I went back to this anyway. More than makes up for how out in the open it is. 58 Tall Trunk 1. I quite like how this gets you to climb farther up the tree than you'd normally go. Nothing amazing here, and it's pretty early in the level so it ends up being over quickly, but it's pretty good all the same. 57 Fluffy Bluff 2. I spotted this while I was looking for the first one. It's a brief, enjoyable sequence of using my clouds, triple jumps, and wall jumps to get high enough to reach the star. Fun stuff. 56 Sweet Mystery 2. It's a good spot, but kinda lame to just reuse the Comet Meadow location, even if it does require you to jump out farther than the invisible platforms extend to. I had fun with it, more so than others that I've docked more points from for having similar flaws. 55 Slipsand 2. Okay, here's the one from the Slipsand slide that's actually good. All is right in the world again. You'd think it'd be annoying to have to position for something you can't see coming, but there is a brief flash of the star as you fly over to tell you where you need to go. It's thankfully very early in the section, which means that if you fail, you go to the last checkpoint and return to where you were very quickly. Not being as far down the slide means it doesn't fall into the same trapping as the other star on there. 54 Haunty Halls 3. Didn't think I'd like this one since Big Boo is very slow, but this actually uses him pretty well. You have to position yourself fairly quickly, or else you lose your window to this unbeatable hazard you can't go back around. I managed it on my second attempt, only because the first one caught me unawares and I had to lock in. This is way more fun than how the level used him previously. 53 Honey Bloom 1. The bouncy balls make traversing as B Mario even more of a delight, so this makes for a very fun area to hide the green star in. The spot isn't anything mind-blowing, but it's serviceable and I had a good time getting to it. 52 Sky Station 2. A nice and simple introduction to the throw yourself off a cliff genre of green stars. The hiding spot is solid and makes it clear to you how valuable it is to look for the glow and listen for the sparkle sound. There's a risk of falling to your death if you miss, which you can easily negate by rotating your camera, so this one doesn't end up being too frustrating. 51 Sky Station 3. It was quite satisfying to scout the outside of the big glass cylinder and find where I'd need to go to get the star. It makes you think about which path to take, and is in a more exciting set piece than either of the galaxy's other green stars. I'm surprised at how well the Sky Station roster held up here. Given it's the tutorial galaxy, I was expecting them to all be boring and easy. 50 and 49 Stone Cyclone 2 and 1. There's nowhere to hide in Stone Cyclone, so both of the green stars opt to be out in the open air and have the engaging gameplay come from trying to play around the tox boxes. The first has you triple jump while hanging around in the middle of the path of death. The second has you long jump off the stage as the big cube on your path chases you. They're both really fun and offer some solidly tight timing. I like them about the same, but I'll say I like the first marginally better for being slightly trickier. 48 Flash Black 2. Surprisingly good since they conceal it with the invisible floor. The stage gimmick encourages taking things slowly, so it's pretty fun to methodically check around the edge of every platform. 47 Freezy Flake 3. Of course they'd put one in the fog section. Seemed like a no-brainer. I really like how they make cool use of the secret area within the mini-maze. It's shot in the foot a little bit though by how the star is visible through the fog on the launch star ride over, so it points you in the direction of where you need to be going. I'd rank it way higher if it let you figure things out for yourself completely. 46 Lava Layer 2. A creative use of the Matter Mouse, giving you a fittingly dangerous green star that's way easier to spot than the other one in the level. 45 Right Side Down 2. Utilizes an alternate path at the end, so that's pretty cool. You can either do a simple wall jump to get it once you've found it, or cheese it if you find the outside area where the devs hid the 1-ups. 44 Yoshi Star 3. Okay cool, this galaxy does have one good green star. The level has plenty of open areas to make looking for this a fun time. It's hidden on these flower grapples at the end, repurposing what seemed to be a completely pointless path before. It's like it was actually designed with the green stars in mind. What a wild concept. 43 Melty Monster 2. The low point of Melty Monster because everything else it has going for it is just too good. The tornadoes weren't the highlight of the mission before by any means, but I still enjoy flying around after being launched by them to get the green star here. I find this mechanic really boring for long, drawn-out horizontal travel, but this section's short enough to not overstay its welcome. The hiding spot is good, though you can see it in the opening, which is a shame. I like how you can't use the first-person camera here, so you need to be alert when approaching where the star is. 42 Honey Hop 1. I wish I didn't remember where this was. It didn't hurt its spot in the ranking, I just wish I could have rediscovered it here. I really like the balloon being used to hide the star, and it's early in the floaty fluff section, so there's plenty of opportunity for you to get it. 41 Boo Moon 2. A good use of the set piece that isn't trying to hide itself. Just gotta make sure you have the moon tilted enough to where you can make your way down to the star without getting pushed away. 40 Lava Layer 1. The rock conceals the star well enough and it's sufficiently treacherous to get to. I like this one. 39 Flip Swap 1. Forgoes hiding the star and makes it more of a puzzle to get. You need to get high enough and have limited space to do so as you contend with the swapping panels and electric fences. It is playing second fiddle to Flip Swap's other entry though, and I do wish it was placed slightly higher so that triple jumping was mandatory rather than being obtainable via backflip. 38 Fluffy Bluff 1. Hearing the twinkle got me to look right up, and I was surprised to see it directly above me. Bringing the cloud suit back to the spawn platform while resisting the urge to spin to get over the water was an enjoyable experience. 37 Supermassive 3. Shoutouts to the Infinite Life farm. I had fun taking a lap around this planetoid on one of the Koopa's backs to build up my reserves before grabbing the not so hidden collectible. 36 Throwback 3. So I like the workaround of having it be way out in the air past what you'd normally see. You have to get up on top of the tower and use it as a vantage point to find which direction you need to go towards with the cloud suit. It's a little annoying that you can't angle the camera to face towards the star while you're making your way there. Otherwise, this is a pretty good one that makes you use your 3 platforms wisely. 35 Slimy Spring 1. The shine is visible in the overview, so you know you need to check behind a pillar, but you do need to make sure you go for the right one so it's not as obvious as it could have been. It's not super quick to make 180-degree turns with a Koopa shell, and you still have to manage your air supply, so the gameplay side of this is fairly compelling. 34 Boom Bunker 1. A good use of the cannon for a star that's very easy to see without needing to look too hard. Don't worry though, Boom Bunker has a much better use of this concept coming up later. I knew I could count on it no matter what. 33 Fiery Flotilla 2. One of many jumps into lava you have to make, though it was one of the first so I can't call it derivative. The long jump is risky, but you do have a life room offered beforehand as a safety net, and if you hit the lava you can still try and redirect yourself as Mario is bouncing around. 32 Spin Dig 1. I just so happened across this one after hearing the twinkle. I like that this has you traverse the level in a way that you can't with the spin drill, getting you to think outside the box and go off the beaten path. Nothing crazy here, still a very good star. 31 Rolling Masterpiece 2. Takes advantage of the rolling ball's imprecision to make for a fairly engaging challenge with multiple ways to approach it. You can either slowly approach from around the platform, or jump straight across it depending on which way you find more fun. The Silver Chomp is still there too, so you get to decide if you want to contend with it as you go for the star, or take out the fun mini-boss to give yourself more breathing room. 30 Supermassive 1. Easier to miss than I expected despite being out in plain view. The triple jump is very satisfying to pull off, since the coin that you have to use as your footing for the third one is pretty narrow. 29 Throwback 1. Very short, very sweet. The hiding spot is pretty clever and it's not given away beforehand. 28 Galaxy Generator 1. It's kind of funny how one of the sections of the final Bowser level with a green star in it is the floaty fluff section, which feels super out of place aesthetically next to the rest of it. I should clarify that is not a criticism of the level design. I think the big plants work for the start of the level. Really solid hiding spot that doesn't provide a ton else to talk about. 27 Flipsville 3. A really evil use of the gravity switch mechanic that I love, and it's mandatory to use, unlike the accidental self-imposed challenge I did with the Galaxy's first green star. It does suffer a little bit by how tough it was for me to get my bearings with the angle the camera was at. I struggled a bit with the depth perception here, which made retries a little bit of a chore, since it meant I had to replay the same section of the level that's fun when you're doing it normally, but does wear thin a little after so many times. It doesn't fully earn the difficulty in my opinion, but I still really like what they've done here. Alright, now it's time for the A tiers. Not a lot left relative to how many we've already been through, but I can spin some bullshit about quality over quantity and just hope these ones give me some more to talk about. 26 Flipsville 1. Presents you with a really cool puzzle where the only way to get the star in the opening maze is to have gravity flip to the other side, then drop down pretty far to pick it up. It's exciting, uses the concept of the galaxy and the set piece creatively, is very early in the level so it's not too frustrating to mess up. A fantastic addition overall. Then I did the next one and saw you can just get it normally by not immediately taking the launch star at the top, but fuck you, my way's funnier. 25, Shiverburn 2. This is the weakest star in Shiverburn Galaxy, which is insane to think about. It was already one of the best stages in the game, and somehow it still ended up as one of the few where the green stars were an overall net positive. Anyway, I wish I didn't remember where this one was. Unfortunately, I downloaded footage of it for the Comet medal video, which dropped a month before I replayed all of these. It hides in the same awesome section as the medal, except instead of being out in the open, it's tucked away into the side, so you're encouraged to explore the meteor storm a bit more. 24, Chompworks 2. A really cool hiding spot on this puzzle that I genuinely would have never thought twice about if I didn't hear the twinkle. It feels very well thought out, almost like they're using what they have at their disposal without needing to awkwardly shoehorn an extra collectible where there isn't any space for it. Love when they make me go off the beaten path like this. 23, Supermassive 2. You can see this one well in advance, which is a good thing in this case because it gives you ample time to prepare. Plenty of others have you make a jump down into certain death if you miss, but few go as far as to have you slide down a wall and jump at just the right time and angle to get where you need to go. It's so much more interesting than just a straight vertical drop. 22, Starshine Beach 3. I already did a self-imposed challenge for the base mission to try and smuggle my cloud suit to the tower to make it up without the lily pads, which isn't too far off from what you have to do here. The lily pads are mandatory, as far as I know anyway, but you have to use them to bring the cloud suit over to this aquatic platform and use all 3 clouds to get high enough after jumping off. It removes your ability to spin and course correct while you try and bounce at the right angle, and I think that's pretty cool. This only got slightly frustrating when I took both lily pads over, forgot to bring one back to the cloud flower, and then had to backtrack. If only you could long jump to the star from the top of the tower, that would have been peak. 21, Fiery Flotilla 1. Not only fixes my issue with the Comet medal, but actually expands on the concept that I already really liked. You climb atop the thwomp again, but instead of being spoiled for the location in advance, you have to seek out an alternate path by using the thwomp as a platform to get atop the castle wall, and then get the green star far off in the corner. It's such a creative use of the environment that gives a wink towards a possible skip you might not have even thought about before. 20, Fearsome Fleet 1. A fantastic use of the gunner as a way to obfuscate the star and encourage you to actively be taking the enemies out with their own bullet bills. I didn't even know it'd be there when I took the guy out, so I was genuinely caught off guard. The moving platform makes this a bit more engaging to grab as well. 19, Boulder Bowl 2. A rare case of 2 green stars being basically right next to each other in a way that adds to them both. They somehow get multiple creative uses out of this opening bridge and ramp, which I didn't expect, so I passed over the second one initially. Then when I got to the third one, I immediately realized where the second would be. I really like how it encourages taking your time to explore all the possible hiding places rather than bowling through as quickly as you normally would. 18, Puzzle Plank 1. Another short and sweet one. It's right above this block, which you have to get atop with the bounce pad. Threading the needle is pretty fun since there's a risk of hitting the block and making it despawn, which would mean needing to restart the level. Not in a frustrating way though, because it's right at the beginning. Very cool how this reworks the block you'd normally break into the main platform you need to use. 17, Boulder Bowl 1. Another green star that's at the start of the level and not frustrating to redo if you knock the bridge over before you realize where you need to go. Wall jumping up the bridge is pretty fun, since you need to be spaced out enough to where you're still making contact with the pillars without your spin colliding with the wall. 16, Melty Monster 1. Oh, this would have been a nightmare for 7-year-old me who couldn't figure out how to get to the launch star for ages. Using the pull stars to throw yourself upwards is a blast, with the mag marks keeping you on your toes in case you miss and have to scramble to pull yourself back up as you plummet to the lava below. Melty Monster just doesn't miss, what can I say? 15, Throwback 2. This is just the lava layer Comet medal, except more fun since you get to ascend up a tower and then propel yourself above the highest point to get the star, and the location isn't as obvious in advance. It is visible in the overview if you're paying attention, but it doesn't give you a clear uninterrupted view for very long. and using the pseudo Womp King to get higher is no less exciting than it was before. Whether you're baiting him to fall and rising up on his back, or jumping off his face as he's about to topple over. 14 Flip Swap 2. A harder version of the first since it's right next to a chomp spawner, so it's a lot more dangerous and fun as a result. It's even possible to miss this one. If I didn't hear the twinkle fading and turn back, I would have walked right past it. 13 Haunty Halls 1. Kind of evil, which scores it major points for me. Its very existence taunts you, flaunting the fact that it isn't trying to hide and wants you to take a leap of faith that you almost certainly won't get on your first try. Those haunt rhymes weren't initially planned, but I'm gonna pretend like they were. This one's fittingly tough, but still perfectly doable if you get your bearings. It's right at the start of the level too, so it's not too tedious to replay in the likely event that you eat shit on your first few goes. 12 Spin Dig 2. A shockingly fun and tricky triple jump over some timed platforms, while there are enemies around to pose as obstacles. If you're not careful, you can even fall into and accidentally use the launch star. There's not a ton to this one, I just really like it. 11 Tall Trunk 3. Maybe it doesn't give a super fair amount of time to see it in advance, and if you miss it, you have to redo an entire auto-scroller, which seems a bit harsh. However, I get to go through the Slide My Beloved again, except with an extra collectible I have to keep my eyes peeled for, while still juggling everything else this banger set piece brings. And I got this one first try without remembering where it was, so it surely can't be all that unfair. 10 Chompworks 1. This is kind of a case where the Comet medal spot is reused, but this is more of an expansion on the concept rather than a blatant rehash. We've had a challenge where you have to weave between the chomps as you jump high enough to grab the medal. Now you have to launch yourself off the stage to get the green star, while still having to contend with the chomps coming at you. Unfortunately, it does pull its punches a little, since there's a safe space right in the corner you can more easily use to align yourself. But if you don't know that, then this one can be brutal. I personally would have liked it to be just that little bit more ruthless though, which would have gone a long way to helping it crack S tier. 9 Hightail Falls 2. There's a lot of risk involved with maneuvering around the obstacles and venturing off the beaten path, while making sure Yoshi doesn't run you right into the void. Keeping him for this final jump is even more satisfying too. The mechanics of Hightail Falls help this one to be really satisfying, even if it's not exactly difficult to spot. 8 Galaxy Generator 2. If you die trying to get this one, the checkpoint is right next to it, so just hop on Yoshi again and give it another go. You'll have picked up by now that I don't want to drop my dinosaur friend into hell, nor do I care to learn the infinite flutter. So my method of getting this one, which made it way harder than it needed to be, in fact it's so stupid that I doubt I'll be able to find footage of someone else doing it, was to smuggle the cloud suit through this opening in the previous section and use those platforms to get the star. An incomprehensibly dumb plan, but Yoshi lived, so I do it all over again. I just had to make sure not to hit the checkpoint in case I failed, because that would have meant restarting the level if I took damage. Which I did have to do, but that's besides the point. 7 Rolling Coaster 1. God, I love Rolling Coaster when it doesn't make me want to tear my hair out, and even sometimes when it does. I'm sure this would have been one of those cases if I didn't get it first try. Alas, I am simply too good at Super Mario Galaxy 2 for the Nintendo Wii. A sentence which will be engraved on my tombstone. I like that this gets you to go down a path you might not have already if you only took the Comet medal route before. The narrow path is tricky to stay on, with the randomly generated enemy placements helping to keep things unpredictable. The jump feels so satisfying to aim correctly, and it's so early in the level that it's not too bad to go back if you miss. 6 Slimy Spring 2. Geniusly hidden and fits the vibe of the galaxy perfectly. The atmosphere of the deep shell well contributes to it being one of my favourite levels in the game, which this green star plays right into by encouraging you to slow down and take in part of the level you'd normally skip right through, since why would you sit and wait in the launch star? The only downside is that there aren't many places to look between the first green star and here, so it isn't able to encourage as much exploration as I maybe would have liked it to. If there were more areas to check out, then we would have had an easy S tier. We're in the top 10 regardless. All things considered, I don't think it was held back too much. 5 Melty Monster 3. Oh, this one's fucking diabolical. Take the already stellar Rock Mario level and change the ending from stay on track to the end to throw yourself off at the right place and time. Based on what I had to say about Rolling Coaster, it seems like I should hate this one for going off the same concept of a 10-second challenge, where every failure requires you to go through a minute of setup to get back to where you were. I guess to some extent that does still apply here, but I don't find it too bothersome since the use of the joystick rather than motion controls helps it to feel less finicky. You've got plenty of time to see ahead and plan accordingly here, with the star crystals acting as guides without removing the challenge since you still have to be precise. It's an absolute blast. A worthy addition to the top 5. And that's it for A tiers. Only 4 left making up our top section, split across just 3 galaxies. For as cool as it's been to see how the green stars vary from the base missions in terms of quality for the most part, the ones represented in S tier really are just the rich getting richer, because they were not exactly struggling on either of the other Galaxy 2 rankings I've done already. Let's take a look at this, whatever the opposite of an underdog story is. For Shiverburn 1. I was worried when I went 60 plus stars in a row with none of them making it into S tier. But of course, I could always count on the ever reliable Shiverburn Galaxy to save the day. I'm glad I didn't remember where this one was beforehand, because I got to put the pieces together in real time, thinking, oh wait, did they sneak it into this volcano you would never normally get close to? Then feeling amazing when it turned out I got it right. I went for it straight away, didn't realize the fire hitbox would stop me from getting it, and fucking died. So even more than it being an incredible place to hide the star, it continues to work in the galaxy's main gimmick to stop you from mindlessly running straight into it the second the level starts. 3 Boom Bunker 2 humbled me more than almost any of the others did. I saw it in the opening cutscene and went, oh, so this is just reusing the Comet medal spot except I know where it is in advance. That's lame. So I get to the platforms, make a full loop around, and okay, where is it? I know I saw it before. My eyes weren't playing tricks on me, were they? No, it was on screen. I just seriously misjudged how far off the ground it was. It's not on the same vertical level as the Comet medal, not even something you can use the cloud suit to reach with all 3 platforms. It's way off to the side, only being reachable via cannon shot, which you need to aim at a point that was previously far off screen. It pushes how far back it can go without being fully out of bounds, making it a pretty tight shot considering you have to do it with pointer controls. Even when you fire accurately enough for the shot to hit, Mario has to travel so far that he starts stumbling out of the cannon shot before he gets there. So it does an excellent job building that anticipation. I should have known better than to doubt Boom Bunker. It's never let me down before, and that hasn't changed. Our runner-up is Hightail Falls 1. Much like my other star ranking, World 1 had no entries into S tier, and the bar was only cleared once I got to Hightail Falls. This makes use of what I'm dubbing, as per my previous video, the Celeste Strawberry area. The seemingly pointless cool hidden area now has a collectible in it. So now, even though it wasn't required to complete the main story, you have to guide Dash Yoshi up here for 100% completion. I ate shit to it a few times when I was doing the mission normally, so doing it in one try this time was immensely satisfying like you wouldn't believe. I get to talk to the senile old man penguin as well, what's not to love? If we were talking solely in terms of which green star has my favourite hiding spot, the most satisfying to discover, this is my top pick. But I couldn't rank it first because there is one more that's playing an entirely different game from any of the competition. Number 1, Shiverburn 3. Yes, so not only did Shiverburn break the extended streak of no S tiers, it also got the best green star in the game. And frankly, it is not a contest. The hiding spot in a vacuum, I mean, it's good. You can briefly see the star on your approach to this segment of the level, but if you don't catch it then, it's subtle enough to not draw your eye immediately. It's above this cloud platform with a 1-up sandwich between them, so there's no obvious shadow cast. It works well enough. Where this excels though is how you get to it. Keeping your cloud suit to this point in the level isn't enough. The star is too high for you to just backflip off the platform without bringing any extra of your own. But without looking it up beforehand, you can't guarantee how many you'll need. For me at least, this meant I wanted to bring all 3 just in case. This alters the level drastically. Now once you've frozen the opening section, you have to go back for a cloud suit and make your way past the zappers, to the launch star, through the meteor storm, and then safely make your way to the cloud without getting hit once. And remember when I said I tried to make it there with all 3 platforms to use? Yeah, so this means I couldn't use the spin at any point. I had to cross the ice without being able to skate, dodge the zappers without being able to stall in midair, and carefully navigate my way across the moving platforms without the means to course correct if I messed anything up. Of course, it doesn't require all 3, but even if you only bring 1 or 2, that still means you have to be sparing with the spin at the very least. What other green star can you say essentially acts as an extra Daredevil comet with additional restrictions on top of it? None of the others change the vibe of their level to quite this extent, and the few that get close only do it for a single section. For as repetitive and tedious as the green stars could get, Shiverburn Galaxy went above and beyond to have all 3 of its offerings be incredibly fun, with the third being the only choice in my mind for the absolute best. To put it another way, if I did one big Galaxy 2 ranking of all 242 stars, this would be the only green one in contention for the top 10. It probably still wouldn't quite make it, but it would at least be in heavy consideration. It's that good. So, was it worth the tedium to get to those few gems buried among everything? Nope, not really. The green stars are decent as the sum of their parts, but getting all of them really dragged, and I don't plan to do it again on any future playthroughs. Most of the time I just wished I was playing Galaxy 1 instead for the video ranking all the stars in that, which should be coming up later this year hopefully. Then we can finally get into the comparison between the 2 games and see if the different approaches to the post-game content was the make or break for me. I'll see you around for those. Thanks for watching.